This is a video with my business partner, John McGaugh. We're going to go over a very powerful tax-saving tool that we use. It's called cost segregation. So this is how we save our investors thousands and thousands of dollars on their taxes every single year. Let's get into it. All right. Well, welcome to the show, John McGaugh. This is my business partner. Glad to have you on so we can do an update today.
Fantastic. And what are we going to talk about?
So today we're talking about cost segregation studies and kind of updating. This is going to be like a case study for the public, for people to see where we are. Kind of, they call it building in public as we go. So do you want to talk a little bit about what is a cost segregation study?
Yes, so a cost seg is depreciation of an RV park for the purpose of taking it off your taxes. So what it does is depreciates the value of your asset, above ground asset, and also some of the utilities or buildings and everything that you have there. So it helps you with your taxes for the previous year.
So the way that they figure this out is they look at the depreciation over a number of years. Now we've hired, this is, like I said, a case study and an education kind of built in together. And so we have hired a company that's a professional company that specializes in cost segregation studies. And they went out to this property that we own and they looked all through the different buildings, the infrastructure that's there, the power lines that run underground, the metal for the fences. They look at everything structural, everything, and they break it all down to values of depreciation. So it's a really big study. It's actually 68 pages long. I'll pull it up in a minute, but it comes down to an end number. It looks at, for us specifically, over 16 years of this property, how much of this is going to depreciate over 16 years. And then we're allowed to take all 16 years at one time in 1 year, because the government is looking at it and the tax and the IRS is looking at it saying they're going to hold this property. It's going to depreciate for 16 years. We'll let them take it all at one time. That means we don't get it next year. We don't get it the year after that. We just get to take it all at one time. But
And
that's
also,
really, go ahead.
Yeah, and also in 2022, you can take 100% of depreciation. They changed that in 2023 to 80%. So
yeah, this is kind of like the last hurrah, the last year that we get to do this. And actually, John and I knew about this. So this one specific project that we're on, and this will be kind of a story, a little anecdote for you. We had this property. We were trying to get it closed. We had some issues getting money moved into the right accounts by the time to close by the end of the year. So to qualify to get a cost segregation study during 2022, last year, we had to get this closed by December 31st, the last day of the year. And so we had been working on it. We weren't making progress. We were pretty much just like running in sand and we weren't getting anywhere. And so it came down to the very last day of the year and we could do it that day. It was possible. So we started calling people. We put it all together. John had to drive across the DFW area with a $900,000 cashier's check to make it happen at the last minute. What was it?
3 banks, right?
Yeah, we had to go to 3 banks to get it all organized and put together. But we got it done literally at the last hour because it had to get booked in 22. It had to get the wire into the final bank by 4:30. And so we were working on it, and they got it in there just in time, about 15 minutes early, before they closed it off for the day. So we got to book that sale in 2022. And it's kind of an exciting, funny story. But what's really awesome is for our investors. So to break it down to real numbers, to make it real for you so you understand, investors who put in $100,000 with us into this deal are now getting $6,800 worth of depreciation on their 22 taxes. So we're going to give them a form. It's called a K1. They're going to give to their tax people. And if they needed to bring down their taxes for the year, that's available. So the people that we've already worked with can still get into this deal. This is what's called a 506B. So if we haven't worked with folks in the past, they can't get into this deal. But if they know us and they have worked with us before, they can still get in. And each 100,000 that they invest in the company, they're immediately getting back almost $7,000 worth of depreciation on 2022's taxes. So that turned out to be a pretty exciting and powerful tool for us, right?
Yeah, that was awesome. I'll tell a little bit more of that story. I mean, we drove out to, gosh, where was it? Gainesville to one bank, then drove to South Lake, Texas to another bank,
And Denton.
and then what? Oh, it was Denton,
Yeah.
Decatur,
Decatur,
yeah,
that's right,
Decatur. Then to South Lake, and then to Irving, and then finally, I mean, we're in the parking lot high-fiving because we got it done. So we saved our investors quite a bit of money for 2022.
Yeah, we did a little bit of math, and the remaining shares that we have available in that project, they total up to about $60,000 worth of depreciation on 22 taxes. So any of our big investors that we worked with in the past, or possibly we were already talking to a couple of them, they're possibly going to gobble up the rest of that because they want that depreciation. And so if you're looking at your taxes, that this is the time that you can get into a company or get into an investment whenever that depreciation is involved. And actually, like John said, this is the last year for 100%. So in 23, next year when we're doing our taxes, we're going to have another cost segregation study on this same property, because over the course of this year, we're building an entire RV park with cabins, pool, bathhouse, all that kind of stuff. And so all of that structure that we're building over this year, we can do another cost segregation for 2023 so that our investors are getting the one from 22 and they're getting the one from 23 as two cost segregation, depreciation, bonus depreciation events during the course of one investment in 2 years. So
Yeah,
it's turning out to be really good for our investors.
fantastic. Well, thanks, Alex. Let's wrap it up and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you for coming on. From the High Performance Podcast, this is Alex Alexander reminding you to go out there and be high performing.